Calling the meeting to order for the Jonesboro Advertising and Promotion Commission. Today is Tuesday, August 28, 2018. We've got Bill Hurt, Chris Gibson, Joe Hafner, myself, Jerry Morgan in attendance, and we have an official quorum. So we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Review the minutes of the meeting held June 28, 2018. I think everybody had received a copy of those. Are there any questions or comments or corrections to be made on those?
Move to adopt.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And any of these documents that y'all would like a copy of, please let me know, and we will be sure and get you copies of everything that you need. The next order of business is the review of the financial status. The first slide is review of current tax collections. As you can see, for 2017, we had total tax collections of the 3% advertising and promotions tax of $673,959. So far in 2018, for the first 7 months through July, we had a total of $376,397. I did put the comparison for the first 7 months of 2017 on there, where we were at $388,000 for the first 7 months. So we're slightly behind there, about $12,000. I've talked to some hoteliers in town, and they feel like that's just more of a factor of weather related throughout the spring on different events. As you can see, we did have a good steady trend upward for the last several years, and it might have kind of plateaued out a little bit. So we do feel like we're right on track. We'll see how the rest of the year falls into place. Hey, Bill, can you put that second slide up, please, sir?
Sir.
If you could scroll down towards the bottom. There we go. That's perfect. This is just a summary of all the revenue and expenses that we've had for 2018 so far. The first column is just the 2018 requests that we had, totaling $1,059,542. In our funding request cycle back last fall, we had approved $755,737. Of that, we've got 3 requests that we had approved that are not going to use those funds. One of them's the Jehovah's Witness Conference of $10,000. They withdrew their request. I think they're going to come back this next year. It was just a matter of they did not feel at this time we had enough hotel rooms to accommodate their needs there. So hopefully we will get that one back. The other one is the DARE program of $10,000. I think that was just a function of them not receiving some matching funds to go through with that. And then the other was the Western Events Pro Rodeo of $2,500. So those totaled $22,500 that were withdrawn. So far for 2018, we've had payments of $261,497. And so we have unpaid commitments outstanding of $471,740. What we kind of do is kind of project out our cash position throughout the year, and that's the box at the bottom. Currently, as of July 31st, we had cash on hand of $443,392. Our projected revenues for the remainder of the year are $265,000. We have typically gone with about $56,000 a year, a month on our projected revenue. I've backed that down to $53,000 just to be a little more conservative there based on the numbers coming in just a little lower. In overall scheme of things, it's not that much of a difference. But so for the remaining 5 months of the year, we'd be looking about $265,000 for an estimated cash position of $708,000. And then you take out the commitments that we still have outstanding of $471,000. That would leave us at the end of the year with $236,652. And again, that's an estimate, but I feel like it's pretty close. Our goal is to always maintain roughly probably our bare minimum would be 200,000 at the end of the year, and probably need to be closer to 250 to 300,000, just because there's timing of payments. A lot of these large payments come in and get requests to fund at the first of the year, and so we need that cash on hand. So I will say, looking at the revenues and the projection of revenues going forward, one thing we will need to kind of keep in the back of our minds as we go into the next grants cycle is the new convention center will be coming online. Our guess right now, I think, is towards the end of 2019. It's coming up fast. And so it really won't affect us this next year, but in 2020, it could affect us. As you know, we are, our agreement with them was to rebate back their 3%. So that will be revenue that we will not get to us. And the question will be, how will that affect the other hotels' revenues? I think it will maybe affect them temporarily until we get the conventions rolling and get the other hotels up and running with the runover business from those. So anyway, just something to think about as we keep that in the back of our minds. Are there any questions from the commission on the financials? Or any questions from the audience on the financials? And again, anybody that wants copies of these, you're more than welcome to them. Just let us know. We can email them to you or get you a copy, however you need to get those. So if there's no questions, I will ask for a motion to approve the financials.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. The first order of new business is the approval of the 2019 application form and meeting date. This will be the application packet that will go out. Do you want to talk about that, Beth, and the changes? And then Bill is also going to talk about the changes on that too. We have had some, I guess, minor changes there.
Yes, as we reported at our last meeting, we have had some minor changes over what we presented in 2018. The biggest change for our potential fundees is that we will not accept online applications this year. It was just a nightmare trying to piece together and make copies for days and days and days. And so each organization will be responsible for providing 8 full packets of information, which will then be distributed to the commissioners. The other thing is we have highlighted some copy on the front of that application that reminds our applicants that the money needs to be used for extraordinary things that help bring visitors to Jonesboro. That in years past, we've lagged over that just a little bit, and we really want to emphasize that these are not daily operating expenses. They're not salaries. They're not construction items. They're things that you would not be able to do without A&P funding, and they are outside your normal operating budgets. What we have in the packet for you all to approve today is that those applications need to be in hand by October 1st. You can mail them. It specifies in the application they can be mailed by October 1st to the mayor's office, and we will collect them from there. We are recommending a date of Tuesday, October 23rd for the groups to come forward for their actual presentations. They can also hand deliver them to the mayor's office if they'd like to do that, but they need to bring all 8 copies. Until we get that, it's not submitted.
Okay. Thank you.
Any questions?
Now, Bill, can you elaborate a little more on the use of funds? Bill is our city CFO, and he is our liaison with the legislative audit group that comes in annually and reviews this. And we had some meetings this last year, and we just want to make sure that we are very clear on the front end of what the funds can and can't be used for. So I'll let him touch on that again.
Sure, and some of this will repeat what Beth did a good job of elaborating on. And Jerry asked me to speak today, and it's really more to reinforce what we're trying to do in terms of compliance with legislative audit. As most of you know, the code for this is 2675-606, and that talks about the use of the funds that are collected by A&P, and it talks about all the things you can do, and then the things that are prohibited from using the funds for. And one of those, a key line on that, I think, is the one that talks about not subsidizing the operations of civic groups. So we have to be very sensitive and careful about that. One of the issues that we had prior year with legislative audit was they didn't feel like the expenditures necessarily rose to the level of supplemental work that the organization was doing in promoting the city, and that perhaps those funds were simply subsidizing their routine operations. Now, we were able to resolve that. Part of the resolution was in redrafting the contract and the agreement and the application package. Beth has done a great job with that. So going forward, we just have to emphasize as a commission when people are applying that for them to be aware of two things. One, that these are supplemental funds that should be used for things that they would not have otherwise included in an operating budget or even in an advertising budget. In other words, these funds are beyond the reach of what they would have done otherwise as an organization in terms of advertising and promotion. And two, that they have to support that with documentation. After their event is over, I think you have a 60-day time window there that they have to submit that, and that has to support their initial intention of receiving the funds from the A&P Commission. Yeah, an example, Bill asked for me to give an example. Let's say an organization is going to do an event, and typically you would anticipate that they would advertise, but they could use these funds for additional advertising that would augment that. So it doesn't prohibit them from doing activities which they might typically do, but it just has to be an activity where they can expand the reach of that. For example, possibly a billboard budget of $1,000. They get additional A&P funding, and now they can supplement that by another $1,000 or $1,500 and expand that budget out with the idea that they're going to reach a larger territory with that advertising.
This is a really important fact that we need to be sure and be mindful of when we get these new packets in. I think we've done a good job of expressing that the last couple of meetings, and it's also in this packet for approval. So I guess if there's no more questions, we will officially approve the application packet that will go out. We send it out to all the previous candidates.
We'll post it on the city website, and then we'll also email it, but they just can't send it back to us.
Yeah. And again, we asked for them to bring us copies this year because we spent days copying, and I think that's pretty standard with other grant packages. So I guess I'll need an approval to approve the grant application packet for this next round of funding.
Make a motion to approve.
Second? Bill? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, thank you. Moving right along. Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Can you come on up, Mr. Allison? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, just ask for that just because we record the minutes off of that. And, yeah, and we do have a temporary or a tentative meeting date of Tuesday, October 23rd, but we will get that information out also. Yes, sir, Mr.
It was
Allison.
just a clarification.
Yes.
Thing, which said, or she said then, all right, the new application, it will be online and not sent to someone. Now, can we come up here and, if we're not really savvy online, can we come up here and get a copy printed out? And then we can get that. That was my only clarification.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, because we just like to say, Howard handles that, and you know how Howard is, so.
Yeah, no problem. We'll make sure and make copies for the city. And we are going to email those out to everybody that applied before, and so we'll make sure we do that. So, okay, the next order of business is to approve the new managing agent. I'd sent everybody an email with request. As you know, Beth Smith is, I don't know if retiring is the right word, but she is moving to Washington, D.C. for a really neat career opportunity, and so it's our loss, but we're excited for her. Her last day on the job will be the end of this month, 31st, and I've recommended, based on the review of the applications that did get posted through the city and sent to the city, the approval of Christy Appleton as being our new managing agent starting September 1st. Christy has a lot of experience in grants, has been with various different organizations on the grants, and private contractor for grants also. So I think it'll be a really good transition, and we're very lucky to have her be able to step in Beth's position. So I guess if there's is there any questions or any comments or any concerns? So, okay, I guess I will need a motion to approve Christy Appleton as our new managing agent starting September 1st.
So moved. Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Christy. We're excited about that. Thank you, Beth, for your service.
Yeah, thanks, Beth.
Okay, the next order of item on the agenda is Beth to discuss the STAR reports, what we're calling it. This is something I asked her to call and research. You know, as we fluctuate on income, we try to figure out, is the occupancy of the hotels down, or are we losing money through other revenue streams? You know, there is a lot of online bookings that go through our hotels here that I don't think we have collections on. That's a different issue that Bill and I are looking into, and I think other cities in Arkansas are looking into. But so we found a report. I'll let you talk about what we can possibly
We
do
are
about that.
calling it the STAR Report. It may have a more professional name, but I did visit with Kelsey Waite about this product, and a lot of hoteliers subscribe to this product because they have to provide the information that is collected here. There were two versions that seem to me to be most appropriate for A&P use. They do a monthly trend designation report. It comes on the 19th of every month and goes retroactive for 18 months, dropping off each time. It'll show year-to-date occupancy, average daily rate, revenue per available room, supply of rooms that are available, and then the actual revenue. And that report costs $2,200 annually, and you do get that monthly. You get that same exact report, only get it quarterly, and the cost drops to $1,650. And that really seems more appropriate for the timeframes that A&P meets. In addition to those two reports, they can do a one-time historical report that'll have 6 years of data, but you don't get anything else going forward. You have to pay for that each time you want it. That's $550. Or there's an almanac report. And she indicated in her comments to me, there's really just not enough information for Jonesboro for that particular report, but they would show us all of Arkansas, but I just don't know that it's the best value for us. And looking at all of this, I think the quarterly trend report would provide the numbers that you're looking for to monitor.
I just asked Beth to research this, and I guess I'm not advocating it one way or the other, but just to get y'all's feedback on something you think we ought to spend the money for to keep up with. Again, I am not concerned, but as we get into the new convention center, just to see how that's going to affect overall trends with the other hotels, and something we can definitely continue to monitor. And this would be $1,650 annually to do that. We could do it now, or we could wait until maybe the spring and closer till next year till the convention center comes online, or just I'm not advocating either way, just asking for y'all's guidance.
I personally think having the data in front of us to review on a quarterly basis is really not a bad idea.
I think it would be very helpful. I mean, we're looking at the financials and we're going off. Okay. I'll ask for a motion to approve
I'll make a motion to approve.
approve the quarterly purchase of $1,650 annually. Okay, I've got a motion, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, thank you.
I didn't either.
Okay.
He's watching when you ask.
We just start looking.
And I will give thanks to Naz Kazi. Naz and I talked about that, and he'd given me that information on that hotel information because I just asked him, and he said, well, it's online, and gave us that contact. He's been very good to visit with every time I have questions on anything hotel related, along with Dan, our member also. Okay, funding requests. Typically, as you all know, if you've been into the meetings, we usually stick really hard to the calendar of normal funding requests of the fall, so we're not every meeting looking at different funding requests. Our exception to that is if there's extraordinary circumstances that are involved, or if there's a new project that comes up that basically wasn't ready to present during the normal cycle. Danny Kapalis is going to present a request on behalf of the softball complex based on an extraordinary item, I think. And then in doing so, since we had a lot of agenda today, I wanted him to give us an update on Southside Softball Complex. That's a hugely vital part of our city. And if you look at Jomac, Southside, you know, the other places, those are probably the two largest revenue generators for our hotels. And so I asked Danny to come up and please give us an update there. We did do a significant amount of improvements there this last year, and also asked him just to kind of give us an update on what he sees in the future for that area too. So,
thank you for having me today. I appreciate you allowing me to come up and present what we have here at Southside. PowerPoint going. Let me just start by saying I'm not a photographer, so don't judge these pictures.
Is that nighttime?
Bill,
That's
there we go.
put up the new lights.
There we go. I left the lens on. All right, so what I brought to you today is basically the improvements we've done to Southside from 2012 to 2018. That basically marks the time period that the city took over the program, took over the complex. And so I just kind of really wanted to show what we've done through that time period, just on improvements of the facility. So when you start, it's kind of hard to see, but one of the simple things, if you look at, this is a 2-year change in the park. The top one is 2013. The bottom is 2015. During that time period, we brought on a facility supervisor, basically somebody that's trained in dealing with grass, dealing with the turf, and how to manage the fields. And if you a quick example is just looking at how thick and nice the grass looks in comparison. And also, if you look at the shape of the infields, and you notice that we actually, the top one, there's no, there's not a true baseball or softball shape to it. As you go down, they're actually formed and proper. And they also have infield mix, which makes our fields much more usable during rain. So as we move forward, 2012, we added a new youth quad concession stand, and I'm going to refer to these both ends. Basically, the youth quad is the middle, and then you've got field 9 and field 10. That's your youth end, and I refer to the other one as the adult end. Let me just emphasize that when we have tournaments for youth, they use the entire park. We don't just use one end and the other. So I want to make sure you understand when I'm talking about adult end, that's actually used for youth and adults. So there's the new concession stand we did in 2012. The one that was there originally, it was in pretty bad shape. Ms. Sharon's here. She can actually tell you that we would have events periodically where the restroom facility was actually flowing out the back. And it's not a good event when you're having a tournament and you're having an issue like that. So this new concession stand was really nice to put in place. It opened up the property and has really increased our concession sales. 2013, one of the first requests that we made to A&P for adjustments was dugouts. The dugouts we had there were 4 feet by 25.5. So if you've ever tried to get into a 4-foot section with a bench and a whole bunch of girls in there, you can't get in. And so what we did was we actually went in and doubled that space and took that facility from a wood and metal facility to a block, and basically now it's a block with a metal framework and a green top, and it matches the concession stand we had put in place. This is one of the dugouts. So a much nicer dugout than what we had originally. I really don't have a lot of befores. I apologize for that, but at least I can show you what we have now. This here is actually a dry dirt storage. One of the things you have when you're dealing with a ball field is when you have a rain, if you're having to patch holes and wet spots, you need dry dirt to put in those spots. Well, we didn't have a place out there for that. All the dirt would be piled on the ground. So this gives us a place to put a mix called turfus in one bay, and we keep clay in the other bay. So that way we're able to hustle out with dry dirt, get the fields ready to go, and be ready within 30 minutes and be back on the field playing. 2014, we started working on batting cages, was one of the big ones that we did. And then we changed out these, and I don't have a picture for this one, I'll just tell you about it. The 8 panels are on the adult end. There's a section down there, a large section of grass on the outside of the fields where a lot of people sit, but then also in turn, a lot of the kids are warming up, throwing pitches. These fences go between where the parents and folks sit and where those kids are throwing the ball. So it just gave us a safety zone for them to throw. But this is, there's 3 sets of those. Those are batting cages, and that's something that they never had out at softball was batting cages. That also gives a chance to go in and bat, but it's also a place for them to go in and pitch. When they're trying to warm up for the next game, or if you've got a pitcher you're wanting to warm up, they get to run down into those batting cages, get in them, and actually warm up and not have to worry about the ball going all different directions. 2015, we had 2 adult field backstops, which A&P paid for, and two of the fields were cut out, re-leveled, reformatted. 2 of the fields on the adult end had 2x6s holding the dirt in around the fence. And so we took those out and added block wall to actually re-level and make it right, and brought the new backstops up. Let me go back, I'm sorry. Also, we added a 30x50 fabric shade structure, which we didn't have a lot of shade structure. There's some small pavilions, but we didn't have a large area that multiple people can sit in and enjoy the games or just get out of the sun. And then we also added 2 youth scoreboards at that point. So this is a shade structure, really nice shade structure. You see it on the weekends. It's packed full with people during events. Then this is the new scoreboards, and as you'll see throughout this list, I will mention we added 2 more, we added 3 here. We're at this point now that 9 out of the 10 fields have new scoreboards. These are LED scoreboards. They're wireless. That's another really nice thing, is the scoreboard can actually be movable and you don't have to plug it in. And you don't have to worry about changing bulbs. That was one of the issues with the old one, was you would either bulbs would go out, you have to change them, or you get broken bulbs, and now you're trying to get those bulbs out. And so this just made it much easier for us to use. 2016, A&P helped with 2 more adult field backstops. They helped with basically 4 adult fields and 5 youth fields, redoing the foul lines. And basically those fences were wore out. Kids were pitching into them, they were hitting into them, and they've been up for a long time. And one of the negatives they had out there on those fences originally was they used what was called residential grade fencing. And so once a ball hits residential grade fencing a couple of times, it starts to curl up. And it caused the fence at the base to curl up to a point that any time a child would run to try to get a ball, you had the sharp edges sticking up out of the ground. And so with your help, we were able to change all those foul lines out and put them right, and we put them to a commercial grade fence, which is going to hold it for a long time. We also added 3 more scoreboards, and then we purchased yellow fence topper. And we purchased that so that we could actually cover the top part of the foul line, since we're putting new fence in. And while we did, I purchased enough to be able to do the outfield fences once we got those changed out. Along with that, we added the fence along stadium. We're still in the process of enclosing the park. Eventually, we'll have the entire park closed, where when we shut the park down, we can close it off and not have to worry about people driving out and getting on the fields, and keep it ready for events. So this is one of the backstops. This is one of the adult backstops that y'all had helped change out. If you notice the block wall, it actually matches up to the concession stand, the same block that has on the base of it, and then added new fencing. 2017, new brick entrances. Basically, we changed out what used to be a couple of cattle gates and put in a really nice brick fence with iron gates. The adult fields, outfield fences, we got those replaced, and then went ahead and installed what was remaining of the fence topper on those fields. We also had 10 sets of foul posts. What was currently out there was PVC pipe that had been painted yellow with a nice PVC top on it, and that was the foul pole. So we were able to take those out and put true metal foul posts with a wing on it. And then we added the 4 adult scoreboards and got those replaced. So at this point, 2017, we've gotten all scoreboards replaced on all fields other than field 10. So that shows you what the foul pole looks like now. That's what we changed out to. This shows you the entrance from Caraway Road before we did the new block walls. That is what they changed to. Much improved look. That's the stadium side. We basically tried to mimic a little bit that we did at Joe Mack, so we had kind of a uniform look between the 2 complexes. 2018, this has been a big year for softball. We actually have changed out with A&P. We changed out 5 of the youth field backstops, and also with changing those out, we had purchased netting the prior year, and so we were able to have that netting put up with the help of A&P too. And then 9 fields were fully replaced with new lights, which was, as anybody that's been out there prior to putting those lights up, that was a true need. It was a safety need. You couldn't see a ball if it was hit up in the air. A lot of times you would watch the ball and you would see it, then it disappeared. Then you would see it, then it disappeared because the lights were in really bad shape. Also, the adult concession had hit its limit. There was a lot of things going wrong. Ceiling was trying to fall in on it. It was just at that point where we really needed a new concession. We also needed to do a concession stand at a point where we were able to raise it up. That one would get flooded. Anytime we'd have rain, all the water was gathering right there at that concession and going inside. And then we've got half of it done, and we're going to do the other half a little bit later in the year. But the south side of the park where the neighborhood is, we're running the fence along there and getting it tied in from Stadium to Caraway. So this is the backstops. This is basically what the youth end looks like with the safety nets. And I want you on the safety nets, that's what I'm actually here to talk to you all about on this request. So if you can, as you can notice there, looking at the youth quad, you notice how the safety net's up much higher than even the concession stand. That keeps the majority of the hard-moving, the fast-moving balls from hitting the crowd, hitting people in the stands. And that's one of the issues we have is the fact that when you hit a ball real hard and real low, it goes over the net. You can't get out of the way of it, and we do have people getting hit. The other issue we have is you do tend to have either youth or adults losing the bat during a swing. And we've had moments where the bats have went over the fence and into the stands. And a ball hurts, a bat really hurts when it comes into the stands. And so we want to try to eliminate that and make the park much, much safer. So with us moving forward, let me just show you this. This is actually the current concession stand, and this was how it looked as of yesterday in construction. We're hoping to be done with this by the end of October. Much nicer concession stand, as you can tell, the block wall. We're trying to make the whole park uniform on everything that we're doing. This gives you kind of an idea of the lights. I wish it was a little bit better. It looked better on my computer, but all those light posts you see up there, those are all now new metal light posts, brand new lights. If you'd been out there before, you would have noticed that all the posts were wood. Most of them were warped, twisted. You had wires running up the side that were breaking loose. At points, we would call City Water and Light to come out and help us do some repairs. And the brackets, the arms that hold the lights on, some of them were actually rusting out and falling off. And so we were at that point. It was truly a safety issue just in that. This shows you a closer look of that light. And then probably one of the next big things that City Water and Light actually helped us out with was the parking lot lights. That's just one example there. Those are the same poles that they would use out on the bypass. And they were gracious enough to bring those in and donate those to us to put those poles up. And then we, in turn, we purchased the LED lights on the top for about $12,000. But that gave 8 poles in the parking lot, the youth parking lot, which was a dark parking lot. Whenever you tried to leave, you couldn't see what was around your car. Now you can walk out there and it's lit up. Also, if you go down the road down the middle, they've added 11 lights on the road. So now the road throughout the park is lit up. So it feels much safer and much more appealing to be in that park. So that's the end of basically what we've done. If you look at a total over the last 7 years that we've been out there, we have spent just in capital improvements over $2.5 million in that park. So there's been, in 7 years, there's been a lot of changes and a lot of adjustments to make that park much, much nicer. One of the things, too, that you add to it is, annually we have over $500,000 budgeted just for that facility between employees and just daily upkeep. You have to keep the grass mowed, you have to keep it weed eated, there's fertilizer, there's spraying, everything is involved in that park, and it usually averages well over $500,000. Some of the things we have left that we need to get done, and the first one is getting the backstops on the adult end. Some of the other things is, we're hoping that next year we'll be paving the parking lot, the youth parking lot. So now it'll be a much nicer parking lot. Field 10, as you notice, I keep kind of not referring to it on getting the lights done on it or getting the scoreboards done. The goal with Field 10 is it's a field that's set away from the other fields and turned a different direction. And I'm hoping that at some point we'll be able to turn that field around so it matches up with Field 9. So when you come through the youth end, you walk straight to those two fields and they're uniform with the rest of the park. If we have a tournament and we have to use Field 10, you'll come out and you'll see a bunch of orange snow fencing to guide people to that park, and that's not professional. That's not the way we want our park to be. And so being able to turn Field 10 around, it makes that park first class. It makes us the way we're supposed to be and look uniform. The other one is, and we applied for the grant with Outdoor Rec grant, and it's going to be a mile trail that's actually walks around the youth parking lot, the cricket field, and it gives anybody that comes to that park an opportunity to actually walk around, have a walking path and exercise. One of the things we like to do within parks is just to find locations that parents a lot of times sit in their car or they sit in the bleachers and their kids are practicing. Well, this gives them an opportunity. If their kid's practicing, maybe they can go over and walk. And so we're just trying to help with, helping make people healthier in Jonesboro. So the piece that I'm here to ask for and talk to you about is actually the safety nets. So what's currently happening is the concession stand there at Southside. Basically, I'll flip back to that. During this construction process, as you can see on each side of it, it's all dirt and it's been broken up. But that's all going to be concrete when they're finished. When they concrete that all the way to the backstops, that's going to eliminate the chance for us to just cleanly go in and put the poles in that will hold up those safety nets and get that installed and be ready. What we would like to do is prior to them pouring the concrete, we would like to go ahead and add those safety poles and the safety nets so that once they're finished with this, that whole end is ready to go, and we don't have to worry about coming back and saw cutting the property out and putting the poles in. And that'll save us anywhere from $8,000 to $10,000 if we do that now. The other savings is, and you can see just from the time that I got the original price, it was a little over $62,000. And that was earlier this year. Once we got to this point, still has went up $7,000 on those poles already. If we wait till next year and do this, we might be talking about another $10,000 added on. So right there in itself, you're close to $20,000 that if we wait till next spring to try to add this, that we're adding to this budget. So currently, what I'm looking at is having the poles, safety nets all installed for $69,988.40.
So just to clarify a few things, you're making that request. We're basically just doing that request now to common sense approach to save roughly $10,000. It's the same request that you would make this fall at our next grant cycle to be funded next year. You're just asking for that money early to accommodate the construction process.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Last year we did approve, and I know last year I looked at the numbers, we did $60,000 at Southside through A&P. Just as he explained, we did the lights last year. I know Joe worked closely with Bill and the mayor. Again, you've got A&P money and you got city money. We basically made sure with us doing the turf that we were also doing major projects at Southside. Joe worked a lot on that, and that's where we came in with the lights. We actually used the reserve funds to do those lights, and that was close to $1 million.
Yeah, the lights itself was, close to $1,909,000.
And also, we've got to think City Water and Light helps us out tremendously. Probably there's no telling how much money that they help us with there. And the other thing, the new concession stand, it also has new bathrooms with it too.
The new concession stand has new bathrooms. It actually, everything about it is new. We're changing up the entire kitchen. We're going to have brand new, vent hoods, just a new service area. We're going to have the windows out front that will actually help with keeping the inside for our employees that are working a little bit cooler, a little more manageable. And it'll help also hopefully keep flies down inside as people just come up and get what they need and leave. But yeah, the bathrooms were probably one of the biggest issues with the old one. As I said earlier, we would get a rain and they'd be flooded. There would be water in both the restrooms because that concession stand was lower than the fields around it.
So what we're asking is for approval of $69,000 roughly to do the new nets to come out of the 2000, I guess it would be 18-19 funding cycle, and just go ahead and approve it now early.
Yes, sir.
Is that okay? So
I'd like to make that motion.
Got a motion? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Well, we appreciate all your work. So just to clarify, after we do these, what's the next major thing that we need to do out south side? Parking lot?
Yeah, the next major thing is the parking lot, and that's something that we're going to be working on with our budget. Hopefully, we'll be able to do that for this upcoming year.
Okay.
The other smaller pieces would be that field 10, getting turned around and becoming a truly usable field that we can have in our tournaments. That'll for sure help with our softball coordinator and making sure that all the tournaments have enough fields to be able to participate and bring enough teams into town. The other, and the other piece is a walking trail, and that's, if we get a grant, we'll have that in place. So we still have some big projects ahead of us on that part.
Okay, well, just keep us up to date on all of it, please. We appreciate that. Appreciate the information. Thank you very much. Thank you. So, is there any other, I guess, extraordinary funding requests that we need to consider today? Okay. Other new business, I would like to ask Margaret to come up and talk for a second. Let me find my... As y'all know, we talked about this briefly at the last meeting, but we could not actually mention the names of the band. But the Downtown Barbecue Fest is set for Friday night, September 28th and 29th. Just a little background, we've always just done a one-night deal with music. And we really struggled on doing that because we wanted to try to make it a 2-day deal and just did not have the funds from A&P. A&P gives $100,000 a year towards this event. It's kind of an A&P event for the city. Ritter Communications has came in with a significant donation to the city and to A&P to make this into a 2-night event. So ask Margaret just to come up and say a few words, because if it wasn't for their support, we would really have to make a tough decision if we continued this event or not. So, Margaret?
Well, our vision for Jonesboro is much bigger than this one festival. Our vision is to go on, and this festival is one of the things that helps us to get where I guess we all want to be. Ritter Communications is highly invested in Jonesboro, and we're extremely proud to be part of this event for the city. The Barbecue Fest has grown to be one of the most highly anticipated and well-attended events in Jonesboro. With it becoming a 2-day event, people now have more time to enjoy music, food, shopping, and it's not only for the downtown area, but hopefully surrounding areas as well as out of Jonesboro will benefit from this event. We're excited to support this festival. And there's a lot of hard work that goes into this. It doesn't just happen overnight. We look forward to seeing everybody out there, and we hope others join in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was, again, a very big announcement that they were able to help us with. We've got Friday night, we have Fuel coming in to perform, and then Saturday night we've got Smash Mouth, and we kind of went with some different top bands this year, and I think we've had a lot of really, really good feedback, even from parents and small children that want to see Smash Mouth on Saturday. So we're kind of excited about that, and working closely with the city to make sure we have a good venue for them. I know that new lights are coming online downtown. Is that correct? They're working on those and making progress, and supposed to be there in place by that. And so anyway, we're really looking forward to it, and I want to tell everybody at Ritter, thank you very, very much. So. Any other new business? We are still working on our site development website. That's something we've got it on the agenda, and we're going to keep it on there until we get this worked out. There's still some questions on, do we partner with the convention center on theirs, or do we try to fold it in or the city, or just exactly how that format's going to work? But we're going to really try to work on that over the next couple of months and get that going. So. Any other business from the commissioners? Anything at all?
Anything at all? Can I make a couple comments?
Yes, sir.
All right. Those of you who were at the council meeting last time kind of heard me talk about this, but I think since part of the A&P's mission is bringing people to Jonesboro, one of the things that I'm really going to be concentrating on over these next 2 years that I for sure have to serve on the council is trying to get some of these groups we have in Jonesboro working closer together. We have the Chamber, we have Jonesboro Unlimited, we have, ASU, the city, and I feel like a lot of times we're all working on the same goal of trying to make Jonesboro better, but everybody's working on their own plan. So if we can get everybody working together, I feel like a lot of the things that we want to do for Jonesboro will be able to more easily accomplish. An example of what I'm talking about is I've been spending quite a bit of time in this little town called Ottawa, Kansas. It's about an hour from Kansas City, about 30 minutes from Lawrence, Kansas, but a town of 14,000 people, and they have a Onward Ottawa foundation that's part of their area Chamber of Commerce, and they've been able to raise over $4.3 million for a thing called Legacy Square that's going to be 20,000 square feet, have green space, covered canopies, large covered pavilion for outdoor events. But if a town of 14,000 can raise over $4 million, what could a town of 70,000 raise if we all work together? And how much better would Jonesboro be? Would it be easier to get, our bike paths, our aquatic centers, a lot of the quality of life things that I think we need? Because, when Mr. Downing presented to the city council a couple months ago, Jonesboro's grown a lot, but a large percentage of our population growth is from people below the poverty line. Our poverty rate is 40% above the U.S. rate. Our median household income is 32% below the U.S. average and 4% lower than 4 years ago. And I think Mr. Downing showed that Jonesboro is the only city out of like Springdale, Fayetteville, I'm leaving some out, Memphis, Tupelo, a lot of the cities, not too far from here, that have invested in quality of life, but we're the only ones whose median income's gone down. And if we don't do something to change the way we've been operating over the last, several years, I think we're going to be in a pretty bad situation. So, I may step on some people's feet, but I'm going to be talking to quite a few people and try to get us working better together instead of doing the same thing with, 10 different plans that all have the same goal in mind. So, anyway, I just kind of wanted to bring that up. I just feel it's really important to get everybody on the same page and, put away your egos, put away pride, and, let's work on one Jonesboro. So, anyway, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. We appreciate that. I think it's very well taken. So. Any questions from the floor? Anybody want to speak on anything from the floor? So we've got open mic day. So I guess
Open Mike Downing Day.
Yeah. So if there's no other comments or no other business that we've left off, I'll ask for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries. Thank y'all very much for attending. And again, if you want any copies of any of this, please get with Beth and everybody, and